CJ Carr is a polished, mechanical, and accurate passer from the pocket, and today we'll tell you if he's truly worth the hype.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez. And today's episode is all about Notre Dame Fighting Irish quarterback CJ Carr. We're going to explain the grade a little bit later, talk about any potential comps that we have for him. Talk about the concerns, what things he needs to work on, or what's concerning about his NFL draft profile this summer. But as always, we start with the pros, the things that CJ Carr does well. A guy that's listed as 6'2", 215 pounds. Keith, coming off a season last year, CJ Carr completed 66.6% of his passes, threw for 2,741 yards through the air, and had a total of 27 touchdowns. For a team that, truthfully, a lot, ask any Fighting Irish fan, they believe they should have been in the, I believe they should have been in the CFP as well, instead of, who was it?
Alabama.
Tulane.
100%. JMU.
Yeah, like those.
That was it. It was just those two.
It was those two. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It should have been
Boise State the year before. I DP. Yeah. Listen. You know I stand with that. I'm anti that part. Okay,
I know. I know. Notre Dame absolutely should have been in there, man, but they didn't. But he played well in his first year as a starter. Keith, what stood out to you on tape with CJ Carr?
Yeah, I thought that he was a quarterback prospect. I'm sorry, whose mechanics were consistently efficient and clean. I thought that his process as far as reading and how he consistently maneuvered through his progressions and his footwork, I thought was very clean. This is a young man that if you told me, he has a quarterback coach that works on mechanics, every single day, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because I thought he was very clean in his process, and I thought his process was very quick and efficient, and I thought that could be very beneficial, and it immediately had you thinking about the Shanahan, the McVay offenses, some of those offenses that are timing and rhythm situations, and you just have to be on time and deliver an accurate football, which ties me to another part. I thought that he was fairly accurate, DP. I thought that every quarterback has some easy throws baked in, right? But I thought that there were throws where he had to really fit it into the bucket, or you had to be on time with hitting a window, and that's the key part that I think went into the Shanahan McVay situation of, hey, fit it in between these two defenders, right? And be on time with that. So that's what I thought he did pretty good at. I could tell he appears to be a high IQ quarterback.
No, 100%. I looked at him, Keith, and I was like, I think one of the first things I wrote down was timing and rhythm-based passer. Like, this is and that works, like you said, to a T. It fits that Shanahan McVay style offense, especially Shanahan. I think McVay gives his quarterbacks a little bit more flexibility and everything. Shanahan has always been kind of, said to be a stickler on hit that read. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I call that bootleg. We get the tight end slicing behind. Hey, he gets into the flat, hit him. Don't go to the next throw and try to get that 40-yard bomb. Just take the easy throw. We schemed it up, take it, right? And I think CJ Carr is one of those guys that absolutely is going to do that. He throws a really catchable ball. He knows how to layer the pass well up the seam. I can't remember if it was, I think it was Pitt, one of the games I was watching. He threw it to now Patriots tight end Eli Raridon, and it was just a perfectly thrown seam ball, right? Layered the fall behind the spot dropper in the slot, up the seam, and in front of the safety, and just dropped it right into the bucket, right? And I love to see stuff like that. I think he's a guy that, getting the ball out quick. I think just getting him into rhythm with those quick concepts is going to be a big thing for him, because he likes to be a guy that, hey, he sees it, back foot hits, let's get the ball out, let's get him into a rhythm and allow him to really manage the game well, because I think he does a pretty good job of that, especially, you keep him clean, you give him a run game. Like, he's a smart, efficient quarterback. I felt like he also because I think was it the first game, and I give him so much credit for poise. We talked about it. They did not start the year off leaning on their best player, Jeremiyah Love. You play in Miami and you're dropping back and letting Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor just tee off and get off on your offensive line instead of just trying to find ways to get Jeremiyah Love the football so he can be the vocal point and take some of that pressure off your first, not just first year starter. Now I think that was his first start of his career. So it's just like, this was an odd game plan, right? But then he went toe to toe and he did well. The next week against Texas A&M and Marcel Reed and Casey Concepcion and Craver and company, they lost the game because I think either the kicker missed the field goal or whatever. Like they lost, they ended up losing that game, and that's why they weren't in the CFP. They got knocked for the two losses to two playoff teams. One went to the national championship. So it was what it was. But he's poised, he's accurate. His ball placement is good. I love, like I said, the layering, the touch, and just understanding. I feel like he's a natural thrower too. Like he's one of those guys where it's just the process, the results and the process match, right? Like you see something, we've seen it, right? The exciting plays and it's like the toolsy quarterbacks is like, man, that process was not great, but the result was outstanding. And it was like, this is probably not going to work every down in the NFL, right? Like you got to get that process where it's consistent. He's a quarterback. I look at like his process is going to be consistent, snap after snap, game after game. So, I
want to not to cut you off. I want to go into the mobility part too. And I think it's a plus for him. There's some athletic ability there to where you're like, one, he can escape pressure, right? To be able to evade defenders, and two, are there situations where he can pick up key first downs with his legs, right? Where you have to still somewhat account for him, tucking the quarterback and running. I'm not saying that this is a high-end athlete, right? Like I'm not putting him in a bucket with with the Lamar Jackson and Jay Daniels. I'm not saying that at all. But you think about Patrick Mahomes. He's not in the elite athlete bucket, but you can finish a game with a stat line. And what game was that, DP? That was like 2-3 years ago. And I believe, were we all at walk-ons? I can't remember or not. But it was like the AFC Championship game. And I think Patrick Mahomes finished with more rushing yards than Lamar Jackson, which is a problem for the Ravens. But also Patrick Mahomes finished the game with more rushing yards, meaning that he made impacts just like, nothing is open downfield. I'm going to just keep on picking up first downs with my leg.
No, 100%. I that was the part I was that I had forgot about with Carr. He's definitely, I don't, like you said, he's not some elite athlete, but he absolutely can get you first downs and a little bit more. If you talking about playing and how that goes into, it's like, okay, I'm playing man coverage, and if you ignore the fact that he has mobility, everybody turns their back, and if you got everybody blanketed, he's like, okay, great. If I can get out of here, I'm getting out of here. But he wants to win from the pocket, so having that ability to be a pocket passer that can manage the game, but then understanding like, hey, I have enough athleticism to hurt you defensively, and so you got to key in on me. You got to know. You got to keep me in the pocket, which I'm perfectly fine with. But if you get out of your rush lanes, I'm gonna make you pay for that. And like that's when you have a quarterback who knows how to toggle between the two. That's a good problem to have as a head coach.
Yep, I agree with DP. Let's do this, man. We do. We always provide balance, man. We provide balanced scouting reports. So let's go ahead and talk about the concerns with CJ Carr, right? Like everything was good in his first year of starting, but there were some things that he can definitely improve on, and I want to discuss those coming up next.
Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. And that's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. That's true in sports, just like it is in business. I mean, look at the Seattle Seahawks. They won the Super Bowl not because of the talent that was on their team. It's because everyone played together with the one goal in mind, and that was to raise the Lombardi Trophy. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Breaking down the concerns for C.J. Carr, 6'2", 215-pound quarterback for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Keith, what's one of the concerns that stood out to you when you were watching the tape?
Yeah, this is more of a physical thing. He's a guy I would want to see throw live in person. To see the arm strength portion of it, because I think that tied to his stature, he's listed at, I think, 6'2", 215. Yeah, so you go into the conversation of potentially being 6'1", 211, right? With a good arm, not a great arm. Then you start having a conversation of like, okay, can this be a top 5, top 10 pick, right? Like if he throws for 30 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, will he meet the physical threshold? And listen, I know that there are guys like Bryce Young and there are a couple other players that have not met that physical threshold, but there was also conversations of even if they deserve it, right? Like, and that's what I'm trying to say is that there's going to be a drumming up of that conversation, and he's a guy I want to see, and like, you know what, similar to Shedeur Sanders, right? And we both like Shedeur Sanders, and even without the physical tools, we still like, hey, this guy has high IQ, he has enough mobility to him, he can throw, throw with anticipation, but people looked at his physical tools and said, I'm not sure about it, right? It doesn't say home run franchise quarterback.
No, 100%. And that's where it starts for me as well. It's just, I felt like I was like, man, I don't think he has that. I don't think he has a great arm, right? And it's like, is it average or is it above average? And that's where, like you said, wanting to see him throw live. So that, like, because those scouting cliches, like the ball pops off his arm, it jumps off his hand. I'll never forget seeing Malik Willis throw at the Senior Bowl, and you could just feel the ball pop off his arm. Like when he ripped throws, you could hear it. It was whistling through the air.
I remember being in an indoor facility.
Yes, he threw that crossing route to that tight end. Tight end was not trying to catch it with his hands. He let that ball hit the pads, and it echoed in there just when the ball made contact. So you can feel those guys that have the great arms, but like, that's going to be a big thing because it changes the buckets that you land in, right? Physically. It's like, okay, you're smart, you're accurate, things of that nature, but can you make drive throws, right? On true drop back sets when the coverage is tight? Can you fit the ball into those tighter windows when you can't anticipate the throw? So that's going to be a big thing for him overall. Like I said, the size too, right? Like, because if you do come in at 6'1", let's say 205 to 210, there's going to be questions about, okay, how do you navigate the pocket? How do you see over bigger offensive lines and different things like that? That's going to flare up where you're going to be like, okay, well, this could be an issue where, it's just as simple as, okay, you're facing a specific defensive line and they understand that you're mobile. So in the NFL, they're like, hey, don't let them get out the pocket. We cage you in, we make you throw from muddy pockets. Well, then if you're on the shorter end, like now we get batted passes, we get hands in your face and like distorting your field of vision to find your receivers down the field, especially. And we know the other key to that is what do almost every short quarterback struggle with? Throwing in the middle of the field. So if he's not 6'2", and let's say he's 6 foot to 6'1", making those throws in the middle of the field from the pocket is going to be it's paramount. Right. So definitely want to just kind of see are you legit 6'2"? I think build wise, I think it's okay. I wouldn't be shocked if he's 210, 213, somewhere in there. I think build wise, he's all right, but the height is definitely something that stood out and everything. And then just the arm strength, the arm talent. I will say too, is I want to see him handle pressure better when he's throwing. Because we know he's got the athleticism, mobility to avoid sacks or get out, but when he was pressured, that's when you saw some of his worst play, right? Like you saw the decrease in accuracy, decision making, putting the ball up for grabs, throwing off your back foot, because it's almost like when we talk about the thing, me and Jordan talked about with Dante Moore, pocket toughness. Like Fernando stood in that joint, he stood right in the pocket, like, I'm about to get blasted, and I know I am. I'm gonna make this throw though, and he makes the throw, takes the hit. Right? Everybody's not cut from that cloth though, Keith. So like, I want to see CJ in those moments, because I think it was going back to that Pitt game when I was watching one of the games I watched. He ended up throwing the ball on, like, I think he's trying to get to Eli Raridon. He ended up throwing it to double coverage off his back foot because he saw a free runner coming through the line of scrimmage. I'm like, bro, it's either take the sack. Listen, people used to clown Tom Brady for it. But Tom's like, Tom would drop down. Tom like, you know what, man? Go ahead. You got your sack. You got your sack, big dog. It's all good. I'm not taking the hit, but you're going to get your sack. Like, you know what I mean? Tom was like, listen, I'm 38 years old, big fella. I'm not taking these hits unless you catch me blindside. I'm going to go ahead, get down, take the sack, 4 yards. I'm not throwing the interception. I want to see him get better with this decision-making under pressure.
Yeah, no, and that's going to be big for MDP. And then that's like a big that's a big mental trait for me, to be honest with you, the toughness element of it, because one thing you can guarantee, right, is that as a quarterback, you're going to get hit. And there's going to be probably one throw a game to where you're going to have the opportunity to step into that hit, right, or you can fall off. Now the situation is, when does that throw come, right? Does it come on 3rd and 6, and this opportunity to move into to field goal range, and that's 3 points that you can get, right? Does it come on, a 4th and 5, and you can stand in there and extend the drive? Or does it come on a 2nd down, and this is your opportunity to have a touchdown, but you're inaccurate with the pass because you're falling off of it, right? I just think that's so important, because it's going to happen every single game. There's going to be a situation where you have to step up, whether that's into the pocket or step up into a defender in some capacity, and deliver a throw. So that's those things, DP, when you look at CJ Carr, I'm interested to see just Notre Dame's offense and how they put him in position, because now you move it forward, right? There's no Jeremiyah Love. And you lost the backup running back, right? Like, how many people lose both running backs?
You lost Jadarian Price, Jeremiyah Love, Eli Raridon, and Malachi Fields. You lost 4 offensive weapons. That was a big part of your team last year.
No, 100%. So the run game has to figure itself out. And then when it comes to your offensive weapons, right? And we'll see what and we both believe in Malachi Fields, that he can be, and maybe I'm kind of a little bit higher than everybody, but but he can be a really good player. And then, like you said, just losing all of those pieces is going to, I think we're going to learn a lot about potentially his leadership, right? Because a lot of those guys, you're going to have to work the timing and rhythm stuff. You may have to get with them after practice and things like that to really get everything ironed out, because you have so many new pieces. And that's not even talking about if they have returning pieces on the offensive line, which you can almost guarantee that there's some movement and fluctuation, because we got the transfer portal, right? So that's going to be interesting.
That's a fact. The other thing I thought there too, Keith, like he's only started 12 games. Yeah, so it's like the NFL has that threshold, the minimum they look for is 25. So let's say he stays healthy, he plays all 12 of the regular season games. They are not in the conference. Exactly. So he's not. If you lose one of these games, and if the committee doesn't respect your schedule, and they're like, you know what, you don't have a really quality win that we really rank highly, you're going to miss the playoffs. And they missed the playoffs last year, and they said screw the bowl game. They weren't doing it, right? So that would have got you the 13 starts, and then playing the regular season would have got you to the 25 minimum threshold. So it's going to be an interesting situation with him, because he was a first-year starter. There's a lot of, and even, we applaud his mental. There's still a lot of mental growth that could be had with this young man, right? Like the more football, and how we've talked about, like, hey man, sometimes it ain't always the best idea to go back to school, but Jordan Reed came on, and he kind of swayed me a little bit. He was like, hey, I've never heard anybody say they played too much football, and I was like, this is a true statement. It's true. Nobody says that, but nobody says that. No, that's a fact. Very true statement. Shout out to boy Jordan Reed, man. Guy, we definitely gonna get him back on the pod soon.
Yeah, that's
a true
I have to
statement.
debate him on that one part right there.
I will definitely tee y'all up at the end of one of these shows when we do it, and let y'all go spar for that one. But I was like, no, I get that, right? But I think they want guys to be experienced. That's why as much as people don't like Carson Beck, and people in the NFL feel comfortable with Carson Beck.
Mhm.
He's played a lot. So it's like,
football,
all right, a lot of football. So this is a year where, because I'll say this too, Keith, CJ Carr only had, let me pull it back up, in terms of like looking at his game log, 2, 3, 4. He had 5 games out of like 12 to 14 games or whatever it is. Only 5 where he threw over 30 times. So you like that. We know that it's different when you're throwing 35, 40 times in a game, and it's more true drop back sets. It's not the opposing defense isn't shifted to, okay, we got Malachi Fields out here, we got Eli Raridon at tight end, and we got to deal with Jeremiyah Love out the backfield. We got to stop Jeremiyah Love, number one. Then we start allocating resources to everybody else. You don't have, he still got weapons, don't get me wrong, but they're not to that caliber of a Jeremiyah Love and some of the other guys, not proven. So now defenses are preparing for you first. You're the quarterback. Like, so I want to see how he handles that adjustment of defenses and the defensive game plan being dialed in on what he does well and what he doesn't do well. So that's going to be a big thing for him. Just a lot of growth opportunity for him. And we'll see, because if he doesn't play well, he can absolutely go back to school for another year.
Yep, 100%. DP, let's get to my favorite part of the show when we do these prospect breakdowns, and that's revealing the grade and talking a little bit of NFL comps. I'm ready to discuss this. Let's get into that coming up next.
The Locked On NFL Draft Podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Sometimes it's a hitter who's been on the hot streak, a favorable pitching matchup, or even a ballpark that tends to give up home runs. Those are always the first things I look at before making my Daily Dingers picks. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you, our everydayers. Explaining the grade for CJ Carr, again, listed as 6'2", 215 pounds, starting quarterback for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Keith, what grade do you have for him?
Yeah, I battle with this one. I'm gonna go late second and into early third. That's what I gave him. And if I had to be probably, what's the opposite word of optimistic? Being just kind of even killed. Yeah, the pessimistic sounds really bad, DP. Sounds really good.
It does. I
neutral. Let's go with neutral. Neutral. I'll try to be neutral. I had to go neutral. I'm gonna go 3rd round pick on him. And reason being, like I said, there were some good things, right? The time and anticipation, things like that. But I can see where there may be some physical limitations to where you have to almost become a scheme-specific player. And also, too, and that's why I'm very interested in him going into this year and seeing the talent that he's surrounded with, because sometimes with scheme-specific players, are you talent-dependent player too, right? When you're talking about a quarterback, they're like, hey, I need this, 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 and this exactly around me in order for me to be successful.
No, 100%. We're in lockstep, Keith. I gave him over at Bleacher Report. We use it's a 7.4, which is right around that. It's like top of the third round. Yeah. It's a high level backup starter upside. I think that the arm talent concerns are legitimate, and we just got to see him take that next step. A big thing for me is like, can you carry the offense as a passer on true drop back sets when the run game just isn't working and they need to lean on you? In college, can you do it? Because if you struggle with it in college, I don't think you're going to be able to do it in the NFL with the talent and the defenses and the mental game is so much more strenuous. So, like I said, talented quarterback. He's efficient. He is poised. He's timing and rhythm based as a quarterback and as a passer. Accuracy is there, but like is a big but. Physically, do you match up physically? And I think that's what it's going to boil down to. Are you somebody that has to get the ball out early? The scheme is going to have to help uplift you and the team in terms of just putting so much talent around you. I looked at, different specific comps I thought about, Keith. For those who haven't checked it out, we dropped our top 1,000 NFL player rankings over at Bleacher Report. I think it was like last week. And I graded, was it Mac Jones, and I gave him, I think it was a solid starting, grade or whatever it was. I can't remember the exact, grade, but he did some solid things. When Brock Purdy was hurt, Mac Jones stepped in for the 49ers and he played good football, right? Mm-hmm. But then it also goes back to, well, the scheme, and then there's talent around you. And when you have that, like, okay, it's a lot easier to perform. You see some guys go into situations where the cupboard's bare and their flaws get highlighted, and now it's spotlighted because everybody sees, okay, you're not a truck, and everybody in the NFL typically wants a truck for their offense.
Yeah, especially when you talk about the top end of the draft. On the Mac Jones, that was a comp, right? That was comp. I like that. I thought about, and this sounds bad, but I because I tried to tie in athletic ability. I thought about Mitchell Trubisky a little bit, just because Mitch was a decent athlete. Overall too. So I kind of like somewhere in between those two, the Mac Jones and because I think he's a more advanced passer than what Mitchell Trubisky was. Absolutely. And Mac Jones showcased that. I don't think Mac Jones lacked physical tools, and I can see that's why you gave him that comp. But I also think that our guy CJ Carr has more athleticism than a Mac Jones. Yeah, so maybe Mac Jones throwing ability, and then Mitchell Trubisky's running ability somewhere in there.
It's another one that I had two kids that came to mind was Teddy Bridgewater. And, Teddy coming out of Louisville, Teddy could sling it in terms of being accurate. He didn't have the biggest arm either, like CJ Carr, right? And Teddy was very, very slim build, tall, kind of tall, but slim build. But he was accurate, good ball placement and everything. And then he also had that kind of sneaky athleticism where if you don't account for me and you let me get out the pocket, I could run and get some yards with my legs too. So that was another one that came to mind. Two guys that want to play from the pocket but have enough athleticism hurt you with their legs. Yep,
I agree. I'm gonna ask you this: so when you drafting him, do you think he's a guy that you can say, you know what, I'm like almost a draft and stash player with optimism, or are you drafting him with the idea of like, I'm going to have a really good backup quarterback? Like, how do you view that at this very moment?
I think it could be a draft and stash situation. I absolutely do think it can be that. I think it's going to be a little more scheme dependent on like just, making sure that you're calling. Like, I wouldn't want him with Bruce Arians and no risk it, no biscuit, like a bunch of deep shots. Now he's aggression. He has aggression as a passer, but he's not afraid to throw vertically. But it's like you don't want him living on the vertical plane a whole ton.
I have a question. How does he compare to Ty Simpson to you?
Ooh, man. Shoot. Very, very like that's a very similar. That might be the best comp, to be honest with you. Like that might be the comp, Keith, is Ty Simpson. I think I personally think Ty might have had a little bit more velocity.
A little more juice,
Just a little more juice. Yeah, a little bit more juice, but
I feel like the height, weight gonna come in very similar.
Yep. Dang, that might be the one right there. Like I think that might be the comp because play style similar, build is similar. The pros and the cons are very similar between the two. Yeah, I think that may be the comp for him, especially if he can play well. Now, and crazy enough, we only had 1 year of Ty Simpson. Yeah. Like we had one year of Ty Simpson. Ty's like, yeah, I could have went back and got 5 million, 6 million, whatever. I said, no, I'm going to the league, right? Yep. And crazy, people called him crazy. It was like, yo, Like, go back and get the NIL bag. Nobody's drafting you in round 1. That man said, I'm going top 15, man. You know what I mean? I went 13th overall. So shout out to Ty Simpson. I think that's Keith, that's perfect. You nailed that one.
You like that one? Okay, cool. That's what we're gonna rock with for now. When we get more information, we'll alter our data, right?
Everything is subject to change, guys. It's subject to change.
Yep, let's do it with DP. That wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.